It's time now for a look latest in local news. In the news, 2 Xanax pills, 2 fake $20 bills, 2 sets of friends, 2 nights back in December of 2020, 2 fights, 2 strangers, a lot of gunfire, 1 teenager shot and killed. That basically recaps the week of testimony in the murder trial taking place at the Wayne County Courthouse all this week. Closing arguments are scheduled for this morning, and a state in the GBI has told the jury of 7 men and 5 women that Arian Maxwell, Christopher McCormick, and Tyler James Wooten are all guilty of felony murder and aggravated assault. All the drug charges were dropped by the Judge Roger Lane on Wednesday afternoon as the defense attorneys asked for directed verdicts on all charges after the state rested its case Wednesday morning. The judge granted the motion on the drug charge for all 3, but says the jury will decide the outcome of the guilt or innocence on the felony murder and aggravated assault charges. This case centers around the December 15, 2020 shooting death of 17-year-old Lester Dennison Jr., who was friends with a 4th defendant, Shayla Britton, who has already accepted a plea agreement and is serving a sentence of 20 years, 12 of those to be served in prison. She came from prison this week and testified, hoping her cooperation for the state in this case will bring her a lighter sentence after this trial is over. Other 3 defendants are in trial, hoping the jury finds them innocent of the charges. Again, they are 3 friends from Brunswick, Georgia. On December 14, 2020, Shayla was friends with Arian Maxwell and Christopher McCormick, who reside in Brunswick, Georgia. Shayla testified that the 2 men would provide her with marijuana and other drugs. She would travel to Brunswick, Georgia, pick up the drugs, bring the drugs back to Jessup, sell the drugs to her friends, and then take the money back to Maxwell and McCormick in Brunswick, Georgia. Shayla and Tyler Wooten were dating, had a 1-month-old child, remain friends to this day. The child now in Seattle, Washington, with Tyler's mother after all this went down. Back on December 14th of 2020, the victim, Lester Dennison, was also friends with Shayla, but says he did not know Tyler Wooten at all. Tyler Wooten. The victim, Lester Dennison, was also friends with Shayla, but didn't know Tyler Wooten. Wooten testified that he never met Lester Dennison until the night in question. Shayla gets a call from her friend Lester, and he wants Xanax, and Shayla goes to Brunswick on December 14, 2020, picks up the drugs, and meets Lester on the night of December 14th at the restaurant at the time that was located next to McDonald's. Tyler testified that he was with Shayla, but says he was asleep in the vehicle. Shayla gives Lester Dennison the Xanax. Lester gives her 2 $20 bills. Shayla testifies that she put the money in the console in the car. She and Tyler go back to Tyler's father's house where they were staying at the time. Next day, December 15, 2020, when the shooting took place, Shayla takes the 2 $20 bills back to Brunswick, Georgia, and the 2 defendants, Maxwell and McCormick, look at the bills and tell her that the money is fake and she needs to make this right. Shayla calls Tyler, tells him what had happened, and Tyler testified that he felt obligated to help Shayla out because she's the mother of his child. The 2 men in Brunswick furious at Shayla. They're telling her that they want to meet this Lester Dennison and send a message not to give fake money in a drug transaction. Tyler says he heads to Brunswick, Georgia, meets with McCormick and Maxwell in court Wednesday. He says he attempted to give Maxwell $40 to make this all go away. Tyler testified he didn't think it was all that big of a deal, just $40. The 2 men from Brunswick, Georgia, refused to take his money. They simply want to meet this Lester guy, and they all get in a vehicle and head to Jessup, and a meeting is set up with Lester and his friends on Fender Road. Shayla, Tyler, Maxwell, McCormick all are together, and Lester arrives with 3 of his friends, and the meeting is set up on Fender Road. Tyler says he's set to fight Lester, and the 2 men square off. Tyler says he asked Lester if he really wants to do this, why not just hand over $40 and make it all go away. He says Lester swings at Tyler and misses. Again, Tyler testifies. He says, man, you sure you want to do this? And Lester swings again and misses. Tyler swings and connects. 2 men fall to the ground. Tyler wins the fight. Lester says, hey, man, you win, let me up. Tyler says, you're not going to do anything stupid, are you? And Lester says, no, just let me up. Tyler says he lets Lester up. The 2 men, according to all the testimony this week in court, shake hands, hug it out, and Tyler testified again yesterday in court that he thought at this point the entire event was over. But Christopher McCormick says no, he wants his money and wants to fight one of Lester's friends, and that turns out to be Darwin Odom. They fight, and Tyler heads back to the vehicle where Shayla is parked and tells her not to freak out, but that Lester and his friends have guns pointed at them. The 2 friends of Tyler, defendants McCormick and Maxwell, start to back up to Shayla's car. They get in, they tell Lester and his friends to start stepping, and then a series of shots are fired from the back of Shayla's vehicle. It comes out in court. The defendant, Christopher McCormick, unloaded his gun And Shayla and Tyler and Maxwell McCormick leave and all head to Brunswick, Georgia, not knowing that anyone had been shot or killed. The next day, Shayla and Tyler find out about Lester being shot and killed, and they decide to turn themselves in. Again, Lester is a good friend of Shayla. Shayla is very upset and wants justice for her friend Lester. Again, they turn themselves in. GBI investigates the crime scene. 4 arrested. They find 8 shell casings out on Fender Road. Again, the 4 arrested, 3 are on trial this week. The 4th defendant, Shayla, again, has pled guilty to aggravated assault charges and, again, currently serving 12 years of a 20-year sentence in prison. Both Maxwell and McCormick opted not to testify in court this week. Tyler did take the stand, says he's told the same story to his attorney, the GBI, and to this jury, but on cross-examination, the prosecutor in the case, Clifton Woody, told Tyler he was simply lying about little things like he didn't say it was Xanax. He told the GBI it was weed. Prosecutor says he lied about Lester having a gun. The state says that Lester and his friends were not armed, but the defense says Lester and 2 of his friends were armed that evening. Prosecutor says Tyler lied about saying he didn't know his friends Maxwell and McCormick were bringing guns to Jessup. Tyler again testified in court that he had no idea that they were armed. Prosecutor says, why didn't you just get back in the car and leave when you saw that Lester and his friends had guns? Tyler says again they felt obligated to fix the issue with his girlfriend, Shayla, because Shayla was the mother of his child, and she's the one that sold the drugs and returned with the fake money. Once again, all this is before the jury, who has to decide who's telling the truth and decide if the state has met its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt. State's asking for guilty verdicts today, while the defense is asking for not guilty verdicts. Judge Roger Lane, the judge, each defendant with a different attorney. Once again, only defendant Tyler Wooten testified in his own behalf. The other 2 opted not to testify. Sadly, a 17-year-old lost his life that evening on Fender Road in Jessup. The jury has determined who had guns, who didn't, as the trial has conflicting testimony. Tyler says Lester and his friends were armed. The state says the evidence says they were not, and Lester's friends all testified during the trial, and they also claim Lester and they were not armed. He was only there on Fender Road to fight. Once again, closing arguments set for this morning. They get underway at 8:30 this morning. WIFO-FM will be in court. If verdicts are reached today, we'll have that here tomorrow on the local news. We'll have more news after this word from our sponsor and other commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, Georgia House Speaker David Ralston passed away yesterday at the age of 68. Ralston, described as a country lawyer who helped set the state's political agenda as the powerful Speaker of the Georgia House of Representatives. Ralston, a Republican, came from the hills of North Georgia, was elected Speaker back in 2010. He recently announced that he would not seek another re-election due to health issues, but again, he passes away yesterday at the age of 68. Governor Kemp says Speaker Ralston was a pioneer in the growth of the Republican Party and was a true servant to the people of the state of Georgia. Jessup City Commissioners met Tuesday, and again, after a lengthy discussion, they approved their TIA resolution for this project on South Macon Street. Again, the city and the county IDA receiving $1.9 million of TIA money for this project. The vote was 4-2. Commissioners Ray House and Tim Cockfield voted no. Bill Harvey voted yes, but said he wanted assurances the city would be able to control the traffic flow, make sure that these 18-wheelers stopped traveling down the road. Also, he wanted speeding stopped on the road as well. Once again, the vote 4-2 after a long, lengthy discussion. It was stressed that the city did not pass the resolution, they would lose that $1.9 million. Again, luckily it passed yesterday by a vote of 4-2. Early voting will take place beginning November 28th and running up until December the 2nd, time 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. No Saturday voting. Limited early voting in this runoff takes place. The election date is Tuesday, December 6th. Again, the 2 candidates, incumbent Raphael Warnock and challenger Herschel Walker, who are out campaigning across the state of Georgia. Once again, the election date, Tuesday, December 6th. Early voting, once again, gets underway November 28th and runs up until December the 2nd. Early voting here in Wayne County takes place at the Hall Richardson Recreation Center. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor, the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes in the news, holidays quickly approaching, a lot of activities in Jessup and Wayne County. This Sunday at Calvary Baptist Church, the 23rd Annual Thanksgiving Community Service set for 6 p.m. Guest speakers this year will be Reverend Pete Boyd of Calvary Baptist Church and Reverend Calvin Anderson of Unity Church of God. Both those men will be joining us this morning on the world famous Butch and Bob Show to talk about the big event coming up on Sunday. Community choir will provide the music. It's always a packed house and a great way to start the holiday season. Again, the annual community Thanksgiving service, 6 p.m. this Sunday at Calvary Baptist Church. Thursday and Friday, December 1st and 2nd, the annual live nativity put on by members of the Altamont Baptist Church. Once again, the JC Fairgrounds will be the site, but they're going back to the walkthrough event this year. Time 6 to 8 p.m. The dates again Thursday and Friday, December 1st and 2nd. Need more information about the live nativity, call 912-586-6780. Jessup DDA hosting the annual lighting of the tree Thursday, December 1st at Pocket Park. The time will be from 6 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. A lot of singing will be performed by the Jessup Church of God Kids Choir and also kids from Jessup Elementary and Martha Ross Smith Elementary. Santa's on hand that evening at Cafe Euro from 7 to 9 p.m. And that's all taking place on the evening of December the 1st. Then on Saturday, December 3rd, the annual Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade set for 7 p.m. in downtown Jessup. The theme is an old-fashioned Christmas. Still time to get an entry into the parade. Deadline's Monday, November 28th. Stop by or call the Chamber at 427-2028. And that's going to do it for the latest in the local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan, have a great day.